Okay, let's unpack this. If you are anywhere near the greater Indianapolis area, or, even if you just track how quickly real estate markets can pivot.
You really need to pay attention right now.
Absolutely. For the first time since, 2019, the market hasn't just slowed down. It is completely cleaved in two.
It really has. We're talking about two separate, distinct, and financially opposite markets.
And they're existing in the same metro area, sometimes just a few miles apart.
That's the essential truth of the market today, and this is all based on hard data transaction data we evaluated as recently as November 21st. It's a profound, sudden power shift.
So today, our mission is to dive deep into what we're calling the 2025-2026 Greater Indianapolis Power Shift Map.
Right. We've analyzed more than 41 recent closings to chart exactly where buyers have seized control and where sellers are, well, still dictating all the terms.
This isn't just about a seasonal cooling off, is it? This feels different. It's surgical.
It is.
So give us that high-level geographical split, because this really determines if you're getting 7 offers or if you're the one paying the buyer's closing costs.
The split it's stark. If you look at the west and south suburbs, you're seeing inventories just explode.
Okay.
And that's leading to widespread price reductions and critically heavy buyer concessions. The pendulum has swung hard.
But on the other side.
Conversely, the north and northeast markets, your Fishers, your Carmels, Zionsvilles, they're operating in a completely different reality.
Still hot.
Oh, very. Heavy competition, multiple offers, and properties are routinely selling for 102%, sometimes more, of the list price.
That contrast is just unbelievable. And I think the key takeaway here for you listening is that if an agent tells you everything is hot,
they are not looking at fresh data.
right?
Exactly. They are looking at the market through what we call 2023 glasses, using these broad, stale metro statistics.
So today it requires hyper-local daily analysis.
Your leverage depends entirely on which side of the city you're standing on.
Okay, let's define these two worlds then. Starting with the buyer's side, when we talk about concessions flowing freely, what exactly does that mean for a buyer today?
So concessions are basically gifts or payments from the seller to the buyer to get the deal done.
Which you never saw a few years ago.
You'd be laughed out of the room. Now, in the West and South, sellers are paying down interest rates, covering closing costs, significant repair allowances, but the single biggest concession we're tracking,
Yeah, it is.
especially from builders, it's the 2-1 buy down.
Okay, that's a term we absolutely have to define. It feels like the biggest lever for buyers right now. So what is a 2-1 buy down?
A 2-1 buy down is where the seller or the builder pays the lender a lump sum of cash to temporarily reduce the buyer's interest rate.
Just for example.
If the market rate is, say, 7%, the buyer gets a rate of 5% in their first year
Wow.
and 6% in the second year before it adjusts back to the market rate in year 3.
That makes a huge difference in the monthly payment.
It drastically lowers it. It makes the house instantly more affordable. And honestly, it's a sign of pure financial desperation from the seller's side.
Puts real dollars back in the buyer's pocket immediately. Now let's talk metrics. What is the clearest, most undeniable number that says the buyer's market is here?
It's the month's inventory threshold.
Right.
This metric measures how long it would take to sell every single home on the market if nothing new was listed. A balanced market is usually between 4 and 6 months.
And we were way below that for years.
We were well below 2 months. The new analysis shows 5 specific suburbs have clearly crossed that 4-month line for the first time since 2019. That is a major, major sign.
4 months means buyers have choices.
Yeah.
They have time. There's no urgency.
Exactly.
Before we jump into those areas, let's quickly clarify 2 other metrics you rely on: DOM and CMA.
Absolutely. DOM, or days on market, is critical. It's just how long the property has been for sale.
And when that number creeps up.
If it starts stretching toward 30 or 40 days, a buyer knows the seller is getting anxious. And CMA, comparative market analysis, is the baseline valuation. It's what the house is actually worth based on recent sales.
And in the hot markets, they sell over the CMA.
And in the soft markets, they're closing well below it.
With those definitions set, let's step across that 4-month inventory line and see exactly where buyers are winning.
Okay, so we've identified 9 suburbs showing clear buyer leverage. And we're looking at months inventory, percentage of homes with price cuts, and that average DOM. The trends are just incredible.
Let's start with what you called the biggest flip of 2025, Avon and Brownsburg. What happened there?
It's a textbook case of a correction fueled by oversupply. Their inventory just spiked. I mean, it jumped from a pretty hot 2.9 months to a staggering 5.8 months
In how long?
in just 10 weeks.
Wow, 10 weeks. That basically doubles the amount of choice for a buyer overnight.
It does, and that's why we're seeing builders there not just offering to pay full closing costs, but also throwing in those 2-1 buy downs we just talked about.
So that inventory spike must create instant panic for sellers. What do the actual closing sheets show for buyers who got in there in November?
The proof is right there in the transaction data. Recent closings are showing buyers getting anywhere from 4 to 6% off the list price.
And that's before concession.
That's before concessions. On top of that, they're getting another $10,000 to $15,000 from the seller. I reviewed a new build listed at $489,000. It just closed at $459,000, and they got another $12,000 toward their rate buy down.
So that's a $42,000 swing in buyer leverage.
That's massive.
Just massive. Okay, let's move south to what you've termed concession heaven. Greenwood and Center Grove. Why is this area so lucrative for buyers looking for extras?
Sellers in Greenwood and Center Grove are really struggling right now. Inventory is up to 4.9 months, which is high. But the killer metric is that 54% of active listings have taken at least one price cut. 54%.
So over half the market is already marked down.
Right. And when that happens, sellers start panicking about the spring market. They think, I have to get this sold now. So we're seeing them throw in everything but the kitchen sink.
Like what?
Full appliance packages, custom blinds. They're offering to finish basements, expensive landscaping packages. The data confirms it. Center Grove is definitively not a seller's market anymore. It's a scramble.
It sounds like the whole seller psychology there is just broken. Okay, moving east a bit. Franklin Township. You call this a hidden leverage gold mine. Why is the high DOM there so important?
So Franklin Township just hit a benchmark. Their average days on market is now 42 days.
42.
The longest in the entire metro area. And when a home sits that long, the buyer holds all the cards.
Right.
And this area is really attractive for move-up families who want great schools without the huge north side price tag. Now those families are finding houses that have sat for 6 weeks, and the negotiation is, well, trivial.
Any specific examples?
Yeah, we saw a recent closing on a $410,000 listing. It closed at $389,000, and the seller threw in a full home warranty and paid $5,000 in closing costs.
The hyperlocal nature of this split really hits home in Westfield. We have to dissect this split personality you found south of 196th Street. Why does crossing one road change the entire financial picture?
Westfield is the absolute perfect case study in how precise you have to be. If you look at homes north of 196th, they're often still seeing multiple offers. Selling over ask, extreme scarcity in those little micro pockets, but then you drive across 196th Street to the south, the market flips violently. South of that line, 49% of the listings have been reduced. Those sellers know their neighbors to the north are getting top dollar, which creates this almost desperate feeling.
So they're the first to offer incentives.
They're the first to offer 2-1 buy downs, large repair allowances. A buyer who knows this exact street address difference has instant, incredible leverage.
That level of detail is just incredible. Okay, you mentioned 9 buyer pockets. Can you group the remaining 5 for us just to give the full picture of where you can negotiate?
Sure, we can group them mostly by the theme of oversupply. You've got what I call the new construction shock group, that's Lebanon and Whitestown, sitting at 4.1 month inventory, and that is 100% driven by too many new homes coming online at the same time.
Forcing builders to compete with each other.
Exactly. Huge incentives. Then you have the consistently slower, more value-focused areas, Plainfield and Mooresville, sitting high at 5.4 months of inventory.
5.4.
Yeah. And then to round it out, you've got Bargersville and Trafalgar at 4.0 months, Southport and Perry Township at 3.9, and Canby and Decatur Township at 3.8, all steadily trending towards buyer control.
So if the West and South are the buyer's paradise, let's slam the door on that side. Let's look at the other world, the 5 areas where the seller still holds all the cards. What are the average numbers looking like across these strongholds?
I mean, these 5 northern and northeastern pockets are operating under completely different laws of physics. The last 11 listings we tracked that closed in these areas averaged a blistering 9.1 days on market.
9 days.
And more importantly, they achieved, on average, 102.4% of their list price. Buyer leverage is just, it's non-existent here.
Okay, let's start with Fishers, specifically south of 126th Street. What's driving the market there? Is it speed or just pure scarcity?
It's both, but mainly scarcity. Inventory is drastically low, only 1.9 months. When you have less than 2 months of supply, every single listing is a fight.
And you have proof of this.
Concrete closing proof from November 14th. A home listed at $539,000 received 7 offers. It closed for $565,000, all cash in just 4 days.
4 days. That suggests buyers are waiving everything. Inspections, appraisals.
Everything. Just to win.
Now what about that super competitive ultra-luxury market? Carmel, west of Meridian. Does the high price point scare off competition?
No, it intensifies it. Because the available inventory is so limited and the demand from high net worth buyers is still incredibly robust.
Give me an example.
On November 9th, a listing at $1.225 million generated 9 offers. It closed for $1.265 million.
Incredible.
And in this segment, it's not just about price. It's about buyers accepting the property as is, offering quick, clean closings to beat everyone else out.
Zionsville luxury is another stronghold. Are we seeing that same intensity with waived contingencies and cash?
Absolutely. The sellers in Zionsville are leveraging their scarcity to demand premium terms beyond just price. We saw a closing on November 18th. A property listed at $849,000 closed for $890,000.
And the terms?
Entirely cash, with the buyer waiving their inspection rights completely. That is peak seller power, forcing buyers to shoulder all the risk just to get the deal.
Okay, finally, let's talk Geist and the areas around it. Fort Harrison, McCordsville. Are the waterfront wars still the main driver there?
They are. The proximity to water acts as a solid heat shield against any broader market slowdown. These properties are often seen as irreplaceable. A Geist waterfront home listed at $1.49 million. It saw multiple offers and just closed for $1.55 million last week. And similarly, a McCordsville lake lot closed for $835,000 in only 9 days. Buyers are paying a massive premium for that unique inventory.
This data provides the map, but now we need the strategy. So what does this power shift mean for you, the listener, right now? Whether you're buying, selling, or maybe trying to do both.
For buyers, the playbook is simple. Target those 9 buyer-friendly suburbs we just mapped out. Do not go in with old assumptions.
So what's the script?
We have a negotiation script that's proven to win in those areas. You start by asking for a 3% to 6% reduction off the list price.
Okay.
Plus you ask the seller to cover all closing costs. Plus you ask for repair allowances. You have to be aggressive. The sellers are anxious.
And what about the sellers who are lucky enough to be in one of those 5 strongholds? Do they just name their price?
You need to be aggressive but precise. If you're selling in Fishers, Carmel, Zionsville, or Geist, price your home within 1% of the CMA. Don't try to overshoot it by 5%.
Why not?
That pricing sweet spot is what secures the multiple offer scenario. Once you have 2 or 3 competing offers, that's when the price gets bid up over asking, and you can demand waived contingencies. The data supports this. 9.1 days on market is your target.
Then there's the question of timing. Winter is setting in. Should potential move-up buyers just wait until spring when things traditionally heat up?
The advice based on this data is emphatically not to wait. This split market has created a once-in-a-cycle event. We're calling it the move-up advantage.
The move-up advantage. Explain that.
If you wait until spring, demand in the northern seller strongholds will increase, sure. But more importantly, the buyer strongholds in the west and south will likely stabilize. You'll lose your leverage there.
So you're saying sell your home in Fishers or Carmel now while it's still at a premium.
Exactly.
And immediately buy into a soft market like Avon or Greenwood.
Precisely. If you execute that trade right now, you sell high in a seller pocket, and you buy low in a buyer pocket. You get the price cuts, you get the concessions. That arbitrage opportunity.
The difference between the two deals.
Right. It has the potential to net you anywhere from $50,000 to $150,000. That is money that would otherwise just vanish when the competition comes back in the spring.
That move-up advantage is the perfect illustration of why looking at broad metro statistics it's worse than useless in 2025. It's all about the granular data.
That is the crux of it. The market has definitively split, and the difference between success and failure, between getting $15,000 in concessions or paying $15,000 over asking, it comes down to knowing the month's inventory of your specific zip code, your specific street.
So you can't rely on last month's stats.
You can't. Not anymore.
Here's the final provocative thought to leave you with. Just consider the extreme complexity of this market where geography really is everything. The example of Westfield is the starkest reminder of that. Merely crossing 196th Street means the difference between walking into a home that got multiple offers with waived inspection.
And finding a seller who is willing to accept a price cut and pay for your 2-1 buy down.
That hyperlocal specificity isn't just a trend. It's the new non-negotiable definition of leverage in Greater Indianapolis.